Hey y'all, if you're really bad at the game, I'm gonna make this as a way to show y'all how to actually design an airship. Because I know that a lot of people, when first getting into the game, it's quite overwhelming if if you don't know much. So this is a quick guide, and it's gonna be better than the tutorial. The tutorial kind of sucks, but yeah. So do not be afraid. This is all just mods. I have like 20 mods installed right now. Yeah, I'm an absolute like legend. So, yeah, let's get into it. Here are the basics. This is the basics category. And there's a couple items in here. Um, these are modded items. This is a modded item, but what we're trying to look at is the suspendium chamber. That's an important piece of thing. It's the main thing of the game. This is what creates the airships. Without this there is no airships. And yeah, and so in order to fuel this, you need coal. So what do? You grab coal, and you can just put it next to it, or you can put a space between if you'd like. I usually put a space between, and then we're only going into tier one, by the way, so we're not going to add anything crazy. And so next you got to add your propeller, and I usually don't mind putting my propeller right next to this. Um, of course, and now we have our system up here. This is what makes a ship. We need to add something to connect it, and I'll add this to connect it right there, and that right there. Furthermore, actually, no, I think I'll just replace this with the corridor. This here will be the top, and so we'll have a bottom, and so we take our quarters, and we put it right there. That will be our quarters, and I think I want to grab some. So if you go to the resources tab, you can go to this fire extinguisher. You can grab the fire extinguisher. It's way cheaper than the fire point, and it's way lighter. So you're saving on both weight and cost with this one. So your ship will fly higher and faster. So this is this setup. And now you need a place to command the ship. It's important to always place your ship in your command area in a somewhat safe place, most likely more disconnected from something that could easily explode, like the suspendium chamber. I usually, I usually place it higher on the structure. I form kind of a superstructure, so to speak. So that's how that goes. And if you want, you can grab a set of, where is it? It's in here, I know it. You can grab, there are these decks with ladders, and you can grab some of those. And you can change them with the variant by clicking this button or clicking the keyboard button N, which will change what you have. And so I changed it to steel deck, which is the strongest. It's actually even stronger than the corridor right here because it's mainly steel, but it has no armor. So anyone standing inside of this will get shot. So we'll place that right there. right here, and we're going to add something here. I think I should add, I'm going to add, holy crap, yeah, there's a lot of modded stuff in here for some reason. This is mods, all mods, mods. Oh my lord. Oh man. All these mods are so enticing. Hold on, I'm gonna go back up. Here's the cannon. So here's your standard cannon. And I'm gonna add 3. This is gonna be a regular destroyer. Now you can add these cannons. These cannons are good, but for this instance, we're making, what type of destroyer we're making is colloquially known to the community as a brawler. So we are going to remove these cannons and we are going to replace them with another type of cannon, a tier 1 cannon. Um, this is a heavy ballista. That's a mod. Where's the tier 1 cannon I'm looking for? So many mods. Okay, we're going to replace it with this, the grape shot cannon. And then we are going to click the letter N on our keyboard, which will change the variation. And you will add a deck walled deck grape shot cannon to the top of your ship. This here reduces drag as well as, I don't know, it's visually appealing. Now I'm going to add something to the bottom here. I'm going to add a rounded corner bottom front piece to the ship right here. This will add to aerodynamics as well as aesthetic. So that is a good thing. And then at the back here, I'm going to add a slope, a 4x1 slope, bottom front. I'm going to plate, and you can flip it around by clicking X. You can flip it vertically by clicking C, and you can put it right there. And you can sort of see the boat shape we're going for. And now to fill in this section, I'm going to add this. I'm going to add this. But oh, I believe this is too close to this, so I'm going to move it down. And I'm going to add one of these to here. I'm going to add another fire extinguisher underneath this one. Just find places where you can put fire extinguishers. You can put them closer together. So I'm going to replace this spot right here with a fire extinguisher. I think I usually like having 30 fire extinguishers, or no, not 30, but I like for this value here, which is water, is fire extinguisher water or whatever. And so I usually like to bring that up to 30. So now that I have 5 in total. Now I have 30. So I usually like to bring that up to 30 when I'm building a destroyer. Yeah. And now what else I want to add? I want to add probably, it might almost be good. So I'm going to go ahead and put a steel supply hatch here. And the importance of a steel supply hatch is really nothing. I don't know why it's there. It's sort of to complete the ship almost. And if you look up here, it says supply required, and it says it is 6. So with that said, each supply hatch has, each small one, like this one, the steel one, has 8 supply. So we give it 8 supply access right here, and we give it 6 supply access, or what am I saying? So this 8 supply access we give it right here fills out this 6 supply access required. So that's good. Furthermore, I feel like I've completed the ship. We are now going to add some corridors. Let me remove these. So you can add corridors. You can add corridors with ladders in specific places you'd like to add them. Just connect the place up, make it all nice. And I usually, whenever I'm filling in a top deck, a top floor corridor, I usually use the empty corridor like this one. And I fill it in right there. So you can just fill everything in. And that is the basic profile of your ship. So now that you have that done, we can move over to the armor tab. Now we won't be doing much with the armor tab, mainly because I'm only focusing on tier 1 technology. And there's a lot of modded text in here. But basically, if you want to go over the basics, wooden armor is very good against bullets and whatnot. But when it comes to explosions and fires, this is not good. This will shatter from explosions or immediately catch fire if you're fighting someone who's using a flamethrower. So not good against that, but if someone's using standard cannons like this, it's pretty good. But if they're using heavy cannons, you're pretty much going to get holes shot all the way through you. That's where the reinforced armor comes in. That's good. There's also regular wood wall, which is the cheapest and offers no it offers no realistic um, it offers no realistic protection at all. So now you can look it down at here, and you can basically see the points. It says it has HP 50, a weight of 2, and it absorbs 2 blast damage and absorbs 6 piercing damage. Now, blast damage, it encompasses explosions, of course, and as well as fire. So anytime there's fire set to it, if it absorbs a high amount of blast damage, it is going to do well against it. But this is wood, so it absorbs more piercing damage. And I also believe that acid might be in blast damage, either that or in piercing damage. I don't know. But if you look over to this reinforced wood armor, it's really good against piercing damage. And so you usually unlock this in tier 2. And then there's also steel wall, which is a tier 0 tech. It has slightly less HP than the wood armor. So if you look at this, you see wooden armor. It has 50. This one has 40. So it's going to be weaker, but there's a caveat. As you can see, this absorbs 2 blast damage. The steel wall absorbs 10 blast damage and 3 piercing damage. So this is extremely good against um, it's extremely good against fires and explosions at the beginning of the game. So let's say you're fighting someone using grenades. This steel armor is going to fare well against that. And I sort of just added it to here so that the ship kind of looks visually appealing. Then we move on to steel armor. Now this is what you'll be using during tier 2 and after tier 2. You'll be using a lot of steel armor. It's very good. It's not too heavy. It's well suited against piercing damage, as it absorbs 8 piercing damage and it absorbs 22 blast damage. So this is really good. A lot of enemies in the game, they'll use rockets, which are extremely dangerous and volatile. So steel armor is very good against that. It also has 60 HP, which is 10 more than this. Um, so this is really good. Um, Rifles don't do anything to this. Gatling guns basically don't do much. You need a lot of Gatling guns to get through this, and flamethrowers. Flamethrowers are almost useless against this. And then you have heavy steel armor. Heavy steel armor absorbs 30 blast damage and it absorbs 12 piercing damage. Uh, and it has 80 HP. This is a really good thing, except for the fact that it is extremely heavy. And now, moving below these modded stuff, you have sandbags. Sandbags, they absorb, they have low HP, very low HP, but they absorb relatively high amounts of damage. I don't know what that means, but yeah, it really doesn't make sense to me, but I think that's the HP overall, and this just means it's it's slightly weaker to blast damage than it is piercing damage. Historically, sandbags have been used to weather bullets, not fire, so that's how it goes. And then you have brick wall. Brick wall is, what the heck is this? Compound armor? That's weird. It's basically Shabam. It's a mod, by the way. Brick wall. It doesn't absorb. So brick and stone and concrete, they don't absorb damage, but they have high amounts of health. Brick wall is the lowest. It has 40 HP. And it's super heavy, by the way. That's weight 45. The weight of this is 2. So 45 is pretty heavy. And so if we just decided to add this to our ship, we would immediately see the service ceiling go down, and we'll explain that later in the video. But for now, we'll just go down to stone wall. And stone wall is the next one. You unlock this at tier 0. Of course, there's no research for this. Stone wall, um, it has 85 HP. It is already stronger than it already has more HP than the heavy steel armor. So it is pretty strong. It's pretty good for standard forts. And it absorbs very little stuff, but it has high HP. And then you have concrete. Wait a minute. No, this is a mod. Now you have massive stone walls. And so massive stone walls have 150 HP. So that's pretty good. It is also extremely heavy. And then you have canvas wall and no armor. And you can imagine what that looks like. A lot like that. You do not want to have no armor at all. In fact, let me just fill it. That's what no armor. And you can definitely clay like that. I'm pretty sure there's someone out there, probably in the distant country of Oakland, who decides that is the best way for them. Possibly in Ohio. That meme is dead. I'm not gonna say that anymore. Next time I make a brain rot joke, I'm deleting my channel. But yeah. Next is the special armor. Now this is interesting. You have dragon hide. This is dragon hide. It has 0 weight. It absorbs 15 blast damage, so it's really good against fire. Of course, this armor is ripped from the skin of dragons, so that's just how it goes. And it has 0 weight, absorbs 15 blast damage, and is relatively weak against piercing damage. Of course, It does have 75 HP. That is really good. Next is shell armor. Now, shell armor is wonderful because it actually gives your ship lift. It gives your ship lift. It reduces everything. Of course, it does have a weight value, and this weight value is there to sort of reduce speed. So if it's not reducing lift, it's reduce it's reducing speed. So that's a thing to keep in mind. It's kind of silly, but it is really good. Shell armor, it'll make your service ceiling go up. And it has a relatively high HP, but it is bad against, it's not that good against blast damage, nor is it good against piercing damage. As you can see, they're both 4. So that is armor. That is armor for you. Um, Now we're going to move on to the decorating bit. And this is quite complicated. Not a lot of people focus on this. They kind of, and if they do, they kind of just throw random stuff on. But as you can see, I have clearly built the shape of a bug. I am someone who loves nautical themes. I'm clearly going to design a ship that looks like a ship. Never mind this guy. I'm going to forget about him. That was just a Discord notification. Okay, so now what we will do is we're going to make it look like a ship. And so the first step to do that is to define what we're doing. So of course we're just going to go for a regular nautical theme. So this, we're going to click gules, which is I think a word for red maybe. I don't know. It's heraldry stuff. Um, it's all fancy. It's all knighty. It's all medieval. So we're going to obviously have fancy words for these colors. So this is the red color, and we're going to color it this because historically ships have had red bottoms that were based on copper. You know, it's copper paint pretty much to, I guess, protect it from barnacles. And I guess in this game, maybe there are aerial barnacles, which would be interesting. Yeah. Then, of course, we can paint every other things, such as the sides of the ship right here. I'm going to paint it, I believe, the color argent. And I think that is very nice. Argent is this color right here. There are also arm colors you can use, and these are representative colors of your coat of arms. And you can use these and paint them on your ship. And whatever coat of arms color you're using, this color will automatically assume that color that is on your coat of arms. So it's your first arms color, your second, and third. And so they will show up there. maybe this is too boring. So I'm going to zigzag pattern it to be Prussian blue. Because who doesn't love Prussia? Prussia is a cool bit of history. So let's add it in there. A bit of Prussia in it. And so now it looks nice and fanciful. Next, what else do I want to do? Maybe I want to color this yellow. Now that looks lovely. Now next, what are we going to do? We're going to go into decorations. So click the decorations tab really quick. What the heck is this? Parabolic antenna. That's a modded feature. That's really funny. Front only. Static. Okay. Anyway. So now we're going to decorate it. And basically, if you go into the devices tab, you can select for anything. Right now, I'm going to pick my favorite, which is the vent right here, because it basically looks like a window. And so you can put it on here along your ship. And now it looks like you've got pretty little windows on the side of your ship, sort of like portholes, or you can make it go in the way like this. How do I want this? You can add the colors to the decorations. So if you go down, you can select a color. I'm going to click Prussian blue so it lines up with these, but I sort of feel like it doesn't match the color there. So I'm going to click another color. Let's take Liberty Blue, for instance, and just put it right there. I don't really like that color. I'm going to pick another. This blue Celeste looks pretty good. Yeah, now that matches up quite nicely. Let's put it right there. And now we have little windows. And so for the bridge, you can add some windows if you want. I usually take this grid piece and I put it right here. And now it looks like there's windows on the bridge. You can choose different ones though. Take this large grill for instance. You could definitely imagine that as the windows to a bridge. Or, let's see, what else do we have? There's some more. Take for instance the pipes section, I believe. If you go to the pipes, you'll see some interesting things. You have brass pipes, and you can recolor these, in fact, to be um, different colors, of course. And you can do this. And then you can grab the back end piece and make it do that. And I'm not sure if I like this style too much. It's sort of clashy. It sort of kind of looks like there's just pipe pieces there, so I usually just, you could use a different color maybe. Maybe onyx would be the best, or cast iron black. Yeah, I think that works. That definitely works better. It looks like there's sort of a window there. Perhaps we could, like that. That looks much better. So you could definitely do it like that. But I don't like doing it like that. So I'm going to go back to the devices tab and select it to be like that. Now, of course, you don't have to do that. And you can represent it more as having a metal hue and just do that. There's no trouble. It adds a bit of contrast, makes it look more metallic, and all good stuff. Furthermore, there's the fins category, and I usually like to add fins to the bottom of my ship. A lot of the time, I'll make them yellow. This ore color right here. See? So I'll take them, and I'll click the space button. Now what the space button does is it does an interesting little thing. It places it underneath. As you can see here, it says hold space to place underneath. So I'm going to place it underneath. Now look, that looks quite nice, but I feel like maybe it can go here, a little forward. That looks better. But I could also try something new. No. Maybe I could place two right there. It sort of looks like it's more extended. That's kind of nice. Or I could just have it like this. And that's okay. I can also place one in the middle as if it's for extra stabilization. So now it's like this, and it kind of looks like a side stabilization fin. Or you can make it smaller and just add it right there. Or you can add it to the bottom, just an extra keel bit. Yep, that's quite nice. I think that does a lovely effect to our ship. Then there's other ones you can add. For instance, heraldry is a very important part of your ship. It invigorates the crew to do better. It makes them feel patriotic. So if you want, you can add a tiny coat of arms to your ship. But I don't really like this style. I usually like the ornate coat of arms. I'll put it right there. You can also choose the roundel, and that looks quite nice. It looks better right there. But I don't think this roundel works because the yellow color and this white color clash a bit too much. So I'll add this small roundel, but of course that kind of clashes with the white, so I think maybe I'll place it right there. Ooh, that's not lined up enough. That's not lined up enough either. No, I don't think I can place this here because this thing is in the way. You see, this has a connection point here. Its connection point is right here. So in order to fix this, I would have to place it underneath there. So click space while placing on there. And now I can add this where I want to. Bam. But that's still not good. So I think I'll just use this. This is my favorite. This is my go-to. It is quite nice. It is stylish. It is historic. It is basic. It's pretty good. Okay. Now I'm going to add some other designs. Just some extra bits. Just right there. That is fine. That is really good. Maybe a top probe to there. Large grill back here would do the trick. An apparatus right here on top of there. A, a couple of things right there. Some tools. No. This voltaic cell will do nicely right here. What else? This net. It will go nicely on the sides of my ship. Next, we're going to add, let's see, I know, we'll add maybe some lights. Click space, hold space I mean, and just add them right here. That's good. Then take some tiny cylindrical lanterns and click N if you want, and we'll place it to the bottom right there, and then you can click here and place them on the bottom. That's nice, that's lovely. And now we can add some masts. Now, I do an interesting thing with the masts. First of all, click N, click the letter N, and you'll see the variant. And then with this, you can pick the color. For this one, we're going to do the colored ore. You know, the color of the, what do you call it? The superstructure. We're just going to place it right there. And then we're going to click N again. We're going to place that there. And now it looks like a supported superstructure. We can also add a flag if we like. So I'm going to add this pennant. Now that's a nice lovely flag. Our ship is already looking quite flamboyant, so to speak. It is quite nice. Next, I like to do a very special trick that makes it look like there are very lovely vertical chimneys on the top of the ship. Now, of course, you can go to the Mast and Chimneys tab to find the very obviously put chimney decoration piece and just place it there. But that is incredibly lame. This is unappealing. I hate this. And some items in the game, some modules, make this item here appear on it automatically, such as the large propeller and the large suspendium chamber, and it annoys me. So what will we do? We'll go to modules, we'll go down to Shapes, Decorations, and we'll click this brass pipe front end. Of course, there is a Shapes and Decorations in the Modules tab because some modules need to be physical. And we're going to add them together. We're going to click X to flip. We're going to build it quite high right there. Maybe we'll build two. So we'll build a second one right here. And so this is important. Why do you build it like with these instead of with slabs? Well, because if you click your overlays button, you can click down here to horizontal drag. And this will show you your drag. Of course, this is very low drag. I've made it that way on purpose. It's meant to go fast. It's a brawler, it's a destroyer. So, of course, it's got to go fast and it's got to have aerodynamics. So, as you can see here, these are unaffected by the wind. Unlike if I were to use these have a very clear effect of what they do. Of course, our speed has gone up to 32%, and now our speed is 92 kilometers an hour. And if we remove this, it's back up to the regular 115 kilometers per hour. So, with that said, we're going to design them to the way we want. And so, click on the Panels tab right here and scroll down till you find the Metal Half Panel. And select any color you want. I'll choose Cast Iron Black for this one. And just click over and just flip to the next one and click over. Then click Variant 2 times and it will flip around to this. Then you can click it right there. And then you can change the color for the top ones. I usually like doing this. It adds character. Oops, I don't want to place it anymore. There. And then flip and place right there. And so you may think, oh, that's fine, that looks good, but you can do a little more. And so go to the masts and chimneys, and then select this one, the tiny mast, and paint it cast iron black and place it underneath right here. Oops, I can't place it there. I'd have to remove these lights. There, much better. And now, looks like I've got actual chimneys. Of course, this one I think should go. The ship is sort of small, and I think we could do without him. It doesn't look visually appealing at the moment. There's just too much. And I think I'll add this one back here and this one right there. That looks good. Okay. So this is your ship. And if you've been following along and building your own ship, perhaps you were playing this in the corner of your screen, you've probably designed a ship that looks similar to this or something different. And now you can name it to anything you want. We're going to name this. What are we going to name it? I don't know. Of course. It is so obvious. I don't know why I didn't pick this. The Epstein. Oh my gosh. The P button isn't working. There we go. Epstein class destroyer. Boom. And there you have it. A very basic destroyer. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know I did. I hope that this brought you some much needed insight. The hours of frustration are probably weighing on your mind. So yeah, subscribe to the Crack Shack, like the video if this was informative, of course, and peace.